Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent James Viscome of RE/MAX Platinum based out of Lake Worth, Florida. James has been a RE/MAX agent since starting his career in 2001, serving hundreds of families in Palm Beach County, Florida during the boom and then during the crash years. He was able to notice the shifting inventory and was able to make strategic alliances with lending institutions to market and sell their REO inventory using traditional marketing strategies and without any REO stigma. This approach has stimulated first-time home ownership and has strengthened the communities. He was inducted into RE/MAX Hall of Fame in 2008 and has also earned the Lifetime Achievement Award in 2012. James has also been a RE/MAX Chairman Club member since 2014. Most recently, he was featured in the 2016 Real Trends The 1000 as advertised in the Wall Street Journal, ranking 116 in the United States for individuals by transaction size. The real estate tides are shifting again and values are starting to rise. It will take new ideas and direct marketing approaches to acclimate to the new market condition and always looking for new ways to stay in front of the public, connect with the past and present clients, and try to add as much value as possible to each person's experience in real estate ownership. All right, with all that said, James, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation, Keith.
And James, if we could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
It's definitely something I always knew I wanted to do. I always had real estate calling. My initial experience started in landscape design. For 15 years, I did that. And I always knew that instead of selling just the landscape job or the landscape on the property, why don't I just go for selling the whole property? So it was a good experience for me selling landscape jobs like that to prepare me for all the other things that come into play with consultation.
Yeah, I think it definitely seems a lot more lucrative for you to sell the house than just the landscaping that goes with it.
For sure. I mean, it was a good experience because a lot of times you're just sitting on the couch, and typically I sell the job just sitting on the couch looking outside, and basically you're describing their environment and how it should be, how it should look when they're sitting on that couch. So it was good. It was good. I got to meet a lot of people, and really I even ended up working with some of those folks down the road in real estate.
And James, do you think you talk about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
I'd say the patience factor has been most serving. Of course, always listening to the customer and asking the follow-up questions, because a lot of times somebody's listening to a person describe what their needs are, but they're thinking of the next question instead of listening to what the person's saying. So I've always learned that was important to, let the person finish with their question, listen intently, and ask a follow-up question as far as what's most important about whatever the circumstance is, the reason that they're moving. So, for instance, if they were to say, well, I'm just moving to be closer to my granddaughter, well, I would follow up with that. Well, what's most important about moving to be closer to your granddaughter? So a lot of people would just stop there. But this way, this goes deeper into the real why. It could be that the daughter was sick or the daughter's having a child and that person wants to connect with their grandbaby. So it's always something deeper than the initial reason that they give. And so I'm trying to go at least, a lot of times, 4 to 7 questions deep to get to the real why. And then, of course, we always want to reference that when there's a little circumstance that comes up, and, always keeping focused on their goal.
And, James, do you think you can give our listeners another example of when these traits have played a role in your path toward success?
Sure. I mean, for instance, I had a customer, an older customer, and they were empty nesters, and they were looking at 2-story homes. But every time we're in the 2-story home, I'm watching them go up the stairs, and I kept asking them what was important about having a 2-story home, and they liked the division of the home. But, they were getting up there, and, getting up those stairs wasn't going to be that great in another 5 to 10 years. And so with me saying that and pulling together some 1-stories with, split either bedroom plans or split floor plans, we were able to find a house immediately that they that they worked for their lifestyle and their future lifestyle as well. So with a few questions deep, we really got down to what was most important. Really, it should have been a one story all along. So, and the other thing is the patience factor is, I'll show as many homes as it takes for that person to get excited about making an offer. I don't want to hear just a settle where they're like, well, they'll say something like, well, this will do, or this checks most of the boxes. We want to check them all. I basically want them jumping up and down telling me this is the one, when we go to make an offer, because we want to make that offer as aggressive and as good as possible.
And James, I think sometimes when ever somebody builds a successful career or a business, that sometimes getting there is not always an easy road. Sometimes there's bumps in the road along the way. Can you talk about some of the adversities and trials that you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
Well, the biggest one, I think, was just getting started. That I started out the first year part-time and dividing my time, doing appointments at night and this kind of stuff. And it did work for me because I had 2 young children at the time. So that was a big obstacle, just getting into a position where you can go full-time and let go of all the other income streams that you had and put the focus into your real estate career.
And James, as you hit these obstacles, as these things come up, why didn't you give up? What was your driving force?
Well, when you let go of some of those other revenues, there's no turning back. So you have to make this work. I ended up moving, at that time when I went full-time, I ended up moving into a newer construction community, and I started getting to know all the neighbors since I was, one of the few new homes in the community. And so at one point there were maybe 16 listings in that community of 2,000 homes, and I had probably 10 of them. So that was just from meeting the neighbors at the pool or just running into them at the stop sign.
And James, I guess looking forward, what's your vision for your business and your career over the next 5 years?
Well, this being my 15th year, it's definitely time to start utilizing some administration a little better, maybe utilizing some more sales staff a little better to free up some of my time. My children are now heading into high school, and I've always had a good schedule because I've been resilient about keeping, the boundaries between, your work schedule and your family schedule. So that was important too.
And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way you market yourself as a real estate professional so you can have continual growth?
Well, it's always been about your past customers and clients. The referral business typically costs very little, and these are people that know and like you, and can typically, when you go on a referral appointment, this is going to be a faster appointment, basically, because they already know some things about you. And then so the other thing is the internet. Where everybody's on the internet today. We're doing direct marketing, either starting with Facebook and Twitter and all the social medias. And so things are changing constantly. I think that's been one of the things that's been hardest for me to get over is accepting change and new ways of doing business, because sometimes we get stuck in that rut. And, it's better to step outside your comfort zone and learn new things.
And James, I think sometimes when the general public looks at real estate agents, that they sometimes don't fully understand the value that you provide from both a buyer and a seller standpoint. What do you think the biggest misconception or myth people have about working with a real estate agent?
It's always going to be that they think that you're just showing some homes and you're having a good time driving around in the car. They don't really foresee all of the moving parts that are involved from that initial appointment to the actual closing. There's hundreds of phone calls. There's lots of documents that have to move around. There's contract deadlines to pay attention to. And then, you're commission-based, so, you need to be constantly marketing and doing business.
And James, let's say you get a call from a family member or a friend, and they're in another state, and they want to sell their home. Now, obviously, with your experience and probably with your connections, you could look up another agent and do a referral. But from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs?
Well, of course, I'm doing a lot of referrals myself. So for those folks, I'm typically calling the agent myself just to have a conversation with them about their business, about the area, and a little bit of background about the customer, and make sure it's a good fit. And then I would put them in touch with each other, and hopefully that they would make a nice connection as well. And always want that referring agent to take it slow and be courteous and, not use too much slang, and just take care of the customer.
And James, obviously based out of Lake Worth or the Palm Beach area, if somebody's looking for real estate services or an agent in that general area, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
Well, I have of course, we all have our websites that we tend to daily, and so that would be jamesremax.com. And of course, I have my email address, which is my first initial last name at bellsouth.net, so people can email me directly. They can also call my mobile phone. It's 561-254-2254, and I'm typically always available for that. I have a greeting on my message to leave a detailed message with, why they're calling. This way, when I call them back, I can be fully prepared to answer all their questions and hopefully serve them.
Excellent. Well, James, obviously want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share all your professional real estate experience with our listeners. And if you're listening and you want to learn more about James, obviously you can go to his website, like he said, or contact him via the other forums. Below this interview, we'll have a link to a site and any other contact information we have, so you can see how James can help you with your real estate needs. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.